Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with my good friend, TJ Grant. TJ is recently you're hearing it here for the first time today. TJ is now the CEO of World Vision New Zealand. TJ's been part of our church for probably about 5 years, something like that. Originally from Canada, and he's here on the podcast, on the Leading Well podcast, to have a chat, all things leadership, and we'll hear his story. Got an amazing life, amazing journey, amazing story. And so TJ, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Steve and I catch up, regularly in Maraitai, and we do a cold plunge, and we grab a coffee, and we have these chats.
Yeah.
And Steve, we've talked about what a blessing and a richness it is to connect in that way, to sharpen each other as leaders. And so fun to be able to, just open that up to a larger audience.
Yeah, it's this kind of combination of discomfort and then, mutual beneficial conversation after our cold plunges, right? So I've been cold plunging for a few years, do it most days, and I would go down the beach in Maraitai and do it sometimes in the winter, and you were like, "Hey man, should we catch up for coffee?" I'm cold plunging on Friday, so why don't you come cold plunge with me, and then we can just grab a coffee and chat. And so those days and those moments have been some of the most, for me, I think in the last couple of years, some of the most life-giving moments and conversations I've had. And you've become a good friend, and we've talked about a lot of different things and done a bit of the journey and prayed together and stuff. And so it's great, man. And I'm pleased you were able to make the time to come and be here with us and enjoy. Fortunately for you, brother, there's no cold plunge here on site. Right. So, but TJ,
you got the baptism bath.
Oh yeah, we could just turn that on. That'll be like the jacuzzi version of the Leading Well podcast. Let's not do that, bro. The people don't want to see that.
No, that's true.
Hey, why don't you introduce yourself to us, man? Like, tell us who you are, your story, but a bit of your story, your family, and I guess what's led you to this position. So you recently have taken over as the CEO of World Vision. You've been working in nonprofit for a long, long time. So tell us a bit of your journey, a bit of your story.
What a unique moment, Steve, to you guys doing this podcast, this announcement just last week when we're recording this. And so it's actually really special to be here at this time. And it is one of those moments in your life where God kind of takes you to a place and gives you that opportunity to reflect and look back. And it has been quite a journey to get to this point. So, I grew up in Canada, in Toronto, and then in a university town for most of my grown-up years in Guelph, Ontario.
Okay.
It's a university town, maybe an hour outside of Toronto.
That's East Coast, right? Ontario.
Eastern Canada, yeah. So a flight from there'd be no cold plunging in the oceans where I grew up. But so great childhood. Grew up Catholic and oldest of 5 kids, from about 18, 19, religion for me was like a cultural experience.
Right.
It was something that we went to mass. I went to a Catholic school, but it was more of something that I was doing. It wasn't who I was.
Right.
And it was at about the age of 18, 19, I had a spiritual experience where God really just opened my eyes. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but now I'd see the Holy Spirit came into my life.
Wow.
And just...
What was that moment? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's not a story I've told much, but I was about 18. I had a girlfriend at the time, and it's the first time you kind of like really step outside of yourself and, love somebody else. Yeah. I'm working on a golf course all summer and just in nature. And all of a sudden there was this stirring of, there's more to life.
Wow.
There's more to see. And God was slowly kind of, I realize now.
Like revealing himself
unraveling himself to me. And at the time, and even at the experience, which I'll describe, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was that touched me. And now I look back and see God and the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
But so what happened was this kind of all was unfolding over a series of months, and it all culminated. This girlfriend at the time, she's back from camp or something, and she's, you're 18, and she's breaking up with me, and she's going. Her parents were both doctors. She was going to some, high school in Switzerland or something for her last year. I know, it must be nice, right?
Yeah, it's all right.
But
you didn't go to high school in Switzerland?
I didn't go to high school in Switzerland. My parents didn't pay for that. You either?
No, I was at Edgewater College, brother. It's the opposite end.
My high school, I don't know what Edgewater College high school was like or college, but I assume mine was similar in Canada.
Let's go.
Brothers in different places. Anyway, so she's back from camp thing. We're breaking up. It's this late night, and we're doing this walk around the block, and I'm going to drive home. It's like 12 at midnight or something. Yeah. I'm 18.
So that's how she broke up with you. Let's go for a walk, TJ.
Yeah, let's go for a walk. Yeah, set me up. So here's the thing, Steve. This is what was amazing. Human 18-year-old goofy TJ, imagine yourself at 18.
Yeah.
Would have reacted badly.
Yeah.
Or would have even not reacted well, even if I was at my best. Been upset, really bitter, whatever. And this crazy thing happened, Steve. We go on this walk, and something came over me, and all this amazing stuff started to flow out.
Wow.
Like, we end the walk, she's crying, and I'm consoling her in an encouraging way of just, hey, go well. Like, it's been good. And somehow this grace that wasn't mine, like, flowed out of me in that moment. So I'm driving home, and I'm like, what just happened? Where did that come from? Because that was not something 18-year-old TJ had in him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this whole podcast speaking in the third person. That'd be the wrong move. But that was not something that I had in me at that stage. So I'm driving home, and oh my gosh, Steve, it's crazy. Like, this spiritual energy, like this energy was like flowing in and down my body, like my hair standing up on my arms. Like, there was something, and I'm just like, what is happening? I go home, it's like 2 a.m. My younger brother, who's 16, he's like I wake him up and I start telling him all this stuff. And he's like, dude, did you just take drugs or something? What is going on here? And what happened at that moment, and it was, in my way, Paul's road to Damascus moment, like the spiritual world opened up.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, this world that I had never seen before, frankly, I had no interest in, God opened up to me. And I was like, I'm going to find the truth wherever I find it. So I ended up leaving the Catholic Church. I was like, I don't believe this stuff. I'm going to find the truth. Told my mom, staunch Catholic. Yeah. And it's funny now, but the next day, as I tell her this, I come home from school and the priest is like sitting in our living room.
Intervention.
Seriously, to have a conversation with me. Good. And I was like, I just got to find it. I did a minor in religious studies, study Islam and Buddhism. And I was looking. And, ultimately the journey for me led back to faith in Jesus, led back to a multi-year journey to discovery. And what was really amazing for me and the blessing in that was I came to really know it like here and here. And all of a sudden, this whole spiritual thing God had given me, I had a name for it.
Wow.
I had a grounding for it. I had a place to grow in that.
Amazing.
And it's really interesting because you talk about the journey and I talk about, maybe I could share about where we went from there to meeting my wife, Heather, and getting married and moving to Taiwan. But in some ways, and with the Taiwan story, that was the genesis of God's calling me into a life that was pursuing Him.
Wow. That's amazing. And it's that dramatic shift from cultural Christianity to a personal walk with the Lord, right? And that realization that God is real, and He's real to me, and I can know Him, and I can discover this life, the meaning and the purpose and the hope that I have in this life actually comes from the one who created it and one who formed it. And what a wild moment. It's cool that God just meets you in the most random spot.
Yeah. He it was many years ago now.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, when I look back, I was in a place of vulnerability.
Yes.
I was in a place of ready to be broken. and God had already been doing some work. You know what? Like with the golf course or these
Yes.
different things, he's like whispering in my ear.
Yeah, man.
He's whispering, and I didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
but I was willing to be open.
Yeah.
And there's something powerful in that. And
It
the
is.
journey took years, and
Yeah.
it had many different paths. But I don't regret any of it, because now I know deep in my soul
Yes.
how real it is.
Wow.
And I don't know, for me, I can't go through an experience like that,
Yeah.
discover that truth, and not want to plant my life on that ground.
Great, man. I describe it like with my story because I had a similar type experience
Yeah.
where God just showed up, and the Holy Spirit filled my life
Yeah.
after the very first prayer I ever prayed in an office building in like
Yeah.
Otahu.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like the tangible presence of God flooded my life, and it was this awakening to the reality of God. And then when I pursued him and found him, it was like, I can't go back. There's no, like, once you discover the truth of the reality of God and the love of God and the lordship of Jesus, it's like, to deny this now would be to lie for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then it's this step of like, oh, if God is real, I want all of what he has. Because I believe that it's probably better than what I could create for myself.
I think that's the thing too, where I think that's the amazing thing when you have that kind of experience, and it's neat. I think that's probably why we connect, right? Because we have these sort of stories. And, you know, talking about leadership, talking about life, one of the things that's this interesting synergy of the role we have and what God does
Yeah.
is that he doesn't leave you there.
Yeah.
And that calling is so real, and he invites us, he's invited me
Yeah.
to keep stepping into it, to
Yes.
keep growing, to keep stepping out. And
Wow.
and it's amazing how none of it would have happened without that moment.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing, and it's transformative.
Yeah, man.
like, you know, people, thinking, books, leadership,
Yeah.
all that stuff is so good. You should invest,
Yep.
mentors,
Yep.
all the things. None of that stuff's going to change your
No.
heart or soul.
No. That's an outward in look at it.
Yeah.
But this is an inward out.
And it's amazing, you know, I'm jumping around chronologically, but, you know, this moment for me now to have the privilege, the humble privilege of leading World Vision in New Zealand,
Yeah.
the largest Christian INGO in the country,
Yeah.
you know, decades history.
Globally, World Vision would
Globally,
be,
one of the biggest international NGOs in the world.
Yeah.
And so to have that privilege, and I think just the inside out part, it's happened to me a couple of times very explicitly in
Yeah.
my leadership journey, where TJ's felt ready. Third person again, sorry. TJ's felt
Let's go,
ready
buddy.
to step into it. I've wanted to go.
Yep.
And God's held me back and said, wait on my timing, wait for me.
Yeah.
And what he's done in the intervening period, which I find is so interesting,
Yeah.
is he's worked
deep.
inside.
Yeah.
He's done the deep inner work to prepare
Yeah.
me for what he has. And I think if we don't do that and do that work first,
Yes.
we can step out into something, but we're not going to do it as fully as we could, as
So,
prepared as we need to be.
Yeah, or we will try and create the promise of God in our own way.
Yeah, or we do it in our own strength rather
Yeah.
than his strength.
Absolutely.
We rely on ourselves and not on him.
Yeah.
And we're all susceptible to
And
that.
that's been, if you'll allow me to, TJ, like that's been an interesting part of you and my conversations,
Yeah.
right, over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because we've had a number of chats over coffee after sitting in the ocean, freezing our butts off.
Yeah.
Where I've sensed the frustration of that readiness to go and the next and the next. And as we sit and talk, I'm hearing you share your heart on it, and then I feel almost like God's voice coming through me going, TJ, slow down. Wait. And we've had those conversations where I'm like, hey, bro, what I know that's what you want, but what is God saying to you? And it's been this, and I guess that's the beauty of community, right? And that's the beauty
Yeah.
of relationship. We don't live out our faith, and we don't live out the call of God in isolation from the body of Christ. And the power of you and I being able to sit down together and me just sort of speak into those little moments. Like the reality is, without, and it's not just my voice, but it's many others around you, you possibly could have jumped to something else
Oh, yeah.
a lot earlier but it's that voice of wisdom that comes and goes, hey man, just realize what's TJ and what's God here.
Yeah.
You know, and let's put ourselves aside, and we all have to fight this battle, right? And that we all have to wrestle with the flesh and the spirit. Like, what is it that is just me wanting to go and grab a hold? And I always refer to, like, it's the Ishmael and Isaac situation. It's like, God's got a promise for a child. And so Abram's like, oh, it's just not happening. So let me make it happen in my own way. And we try and take charge of God's timing and make it happen, but it never goes the way we hope it would. But God's God in Isaac. God's got the promise for you, but you've just got to trust him in the timing and in the journey.
Yeah, and I think as you describe that, and I've loved those chats, and I've loved those moments where you've spoken into my life. And if I were to give people a window, and what I've loved about it is it's been very reciprocal.
Totally.
And honestly, you can speak to this if you want, but as a Christian leader at a certain position, you can get pretty lonely.
Yeah.
You know, I connect with Mike Griffiths as well, a great leader here in the community, amazing guy. We were chatting the other day, and he's got some good lines too sometimes, right? And it's this kind of conversation, and especially as you get elevated, especially as the doors open up, you know, he had a great line to me. He said, oh man, God's got a great plan. You know, that scripture, you know, God will do immeasurably more than you could ever ask or imagine. And that word and what you're saying is so true. But if we walk out into that on our own, or we start to believe and buy into our own hype, what happens is the other line, he said, hey, the devil's also got an amazing plan for your life.
Wow.
And how convicting a challenge is that?
Yes. Yeah. And that's that ability to discern.
Yeah.
Okay, what is me and what is God? Like, and you know, my advice to a lot of people is, hey man, you got to slow down. You got to just pause and seek God, seek good counsel, and actually be okay with the journey he's got you on. Because it's the deep, and my journey is so similar, and it is so reciprocal. Like our conversations, it challenges me in terms of, okay, well, what part of me has to die still, and where's my ego that needs to shift and change, and what am I pursuing out of my own desire for doing something great or being known, or you know, having an audience or having a platform? It's like, what's the is my value? Is the value I'm seeking knowing God and what He has for me and being faithful to that call, or is it creating this thing that I think I want for myself?
And it's so hard to parse it apart, right? And I think that's where, you know, connecting with people. One story, I shared this one with you, and I'll share it now in terms of a perspective that God gave me to step into this. And it's a leadership lesson, I think, for all of us to learn. Two things. One, this parable God's pressed on my heart, the parable of the talents. The master goes away, gives the servants 4, 2, and 1. And the master says, you know, go put this to work. You know the story. Everybody knows the story. Comes back, the one who had 4 puts it to work, makes 4 more. The one who has 2 makes 2 more. The one who has 1, he's scared. He knows the master's, you know, a harsh taskmaster. He's worried. So he buries his talent under the ground. The master comes back, and the one who has 4, he says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've made 4 more. You've been faithful with a little. Now I'm going to give you more. Same with the 2. The one who's 1, he says, you should have at least like put it in the bank,
Get some interest.
But you wasted it. Like, out with you.
Wicked, lazy servant.
Wicked, lazy servant. It's harsh. And then give it to the one who had 4. A couple things from that parable, Steve, with leadership, to your point of slowing down. One is, I think, one of the most amazing and hardest lessons, especially for younger leaders, and we talk about ready to go, is one of the best things you can do for your future and for your leadership and unlocking and opening the next door is just doing really good with where you are right
100%.
now. Put the
Be
talents
faithful.
you have to work right now, and that's going to lead to your future success.
Absolutely.
It's not about just jumping the queue. It's not about, you know, accelerating up. It's about doing the work and being faithful with where God has you right now.
If God's put it in your hands to do it, if God has given you the ability and the resourcing and whatever to do it, like, what will you do with it? Because it's not probably quite what you want. Like, I just got one.
Yeah.
If I had 4, maybe I could. If I had a great voice, then maybe I could serve God. If I had greater intellect, and it's like, well, what's He put in your hand, and can you take that, be faithful with it, and grow it, and bring some fruit out of that thing. And if you can be proven in that, then the door will open for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But so often we're just looking for the door. We want to, because we feel a sense of call to do something great for God, or to lead, or to, in my case, it was like, I want to preach, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, can you run the kids ministry and look after these maniac children for 4 years or whatever? And it's like, oh man, I sense this more, but okay, let me run the greatest kids program I could possibly run, and let me just love that.
It's interesting. I mean, I think it's such a important lesson. I'll go back to my story and pick it up where.
Yeah, let's go.
Because I'll just connect it with that. Become a Christian, meet my wife Heather in university. We get married, and this is just that idea of being faithful and the idea of doing what God's put in front of you, and then two things, like you're saying. One is that will lead to what comes next, and the gift is, in a way, what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I get married, just finished uni, early 20s, and we moved to Taiwan to teach English, to have an adventure, start life together.
Right.
Newly Christians. We're there for a couple months. We're just having fun.
Yep.
We're hanging out with expats. We're going to the night market, planning trips to Thailand, paying off student loans. It's just an adventure.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
We're there a couple months, and I have this stirring that something's missing. There's something not quite filling in my life, and I don't know what it is. I mentioned this to Heather, and interestingly, she has the same sense.
Wow.
So we pray a simple prayer. We said, God, you know what? If you would open a door for us here in Taiwan to do something, then we'll walk through it. And I love that prayer. Ask,
so good.
Answer will be given. Seek, you will find. Knock, and the door will be open. So I think prayers like that, with a real heart, humility posture, they get answered. Now, they don't always get answered the next day, but in this case it did. And the next day we're tutoring English at this doctor's house. And they have a lovely Filipino maid we never met before, and we have a great conversation with her. And she must have picked something up from us, because at the end of the conversation, she gives us a piece of paper with 2 names and a phone number on it. And she says, you have to call these people. Well, those people were Ted and Bev Skiles, Christian missionaries who'd moved to Taiwan 30 years before on a boat. And they're the most Mother Teresa people I've ever met in my life. And they had opened this orphanage. And they've opened this orphanage, and they had grown-up kids of their own. They have local Chinese volunteers helping them out. And they have 30 kids, street kids, abandoned kids. That's like their family.
Wow.
And at any one time, they have 5 to 8 babies who'd left on their doorstep to be adopted.
Wow.
And so what worked out is every Thursday, Heather and I would go to the orphanage and take care of these babies. And Ted and Bev would go on a date for the first time in a decade to the night market.
Wow.
So every Thursday, we're taking care of these babies at the orphanage. And at first, I just felt good about myself. Bragging.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me. My friends in the night market, you guys got to get your lives together. Go do something good with yourself.
I'll just humbly serve at this orphanage for abandoned babies.
About me still, right?
Yeah.
And, but something interesting happened, Steve, after 2 years of doing this, faithfully, small
every
thing.
Thursday for 2 years.
Every Thursday for 2 years. Just what God had given us to do. What he called us to do, to change diapers, to feed these babies, to sit there in this orphanage and do that. It hits me one Thursday evening. I'm looking down at one of these little babies, and I have this epiphany that these Thursdays at the orphanage had become the most important part of my week, the most important thing I'm doing with my life.
Wow.
And I thought, why? These babies are never going to know my name, never going to remember I was here. But for some reason, this is like the most important thing I'm doing. And God gave me the insight at that time that, wow, maybe he's using me. Maybe the love that I received of Jesus, the spirit that I got that one evening, is now flowing through me to these little ones, to these little babies. And I'm sharing a little bit of God's love with them. And that is giving me a window, giving me a glimpse of a life, of a purpose that's beyond my satisfaction, my happiness, my whatever.
Yes.
And that is the real start of my journey with World Vision. That's the real start of my work. And 20 years later, sitting here today, I look back at that time at the orphanage and I actually see the full gift.
Wow.
The full picture of the gift God gave me.
Wow.
And what I see, Steve, it's not just that I was sharing the love of Jesus with these little ones. Those little babies on those Thursday nights were sharing the love of Jesus with me.
Amazing. Dude.
I was experiencing Jesus Christ through the least of these brothers or sisters of mine, serving them on those Thursdays. You know, Jesus says, you know it, Matthew 25, whatever you did for the least of these brothers or sisters of mine, you did for me.
Wow.
And so that gift, those Thursday evenings, that small invitation to walk through a simple door and to humbly serve, changing some diapers, has transformed my life.
Wow.
And is still the foundation for me of a gift that 20 years on, visiting 50 plus countries, seeing work around the world, refugee camps, people living in poverty, humanitarian disasters, I have gotten so much more through the little I've given by getting a chance to step into and participate in the work of God in the world.
Wow. Wow. And, for people maybe listening to this podcast, they're going to be, in a similar place in their faith where they're just sort of sitting there and maybe they're followers of Jesus, but there's not a lot of that kind of world. Because I kind of describe that as like, that's the adventure of following God. I think following Jesus should be a bit of an adventure for you. It's outrageous because it's beyond you. But it started for you in just that simple act of going, all right, we can put our hands to this and we can look after some babies.
Do you ever stop to think, Steve, and this would be us sitting now having the conversation two ways at the coffee shop. Do you ever stop and think like, how did I get here?
Every day. Every day I think to myself, how did this happen? How did I get to this spot, like leading this church and leading the organization that we lead? One, I'm like, does everyone know who they picked? Like, is it like
big
I'm
mistake.
pretty sure they made a mistake here. But when I look back on my journey, it's a series of yeses to God, just little yeses. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. God, you've put your love in me. You've shown me who you are. Let me give that away. Let me do something, whatever it is. Let me just be faithful with this and this and this, and just okay. God, you opened the door. Yes, I'll go. Yes, I'll go. Die to me, die to my ambition, die to what I want, and just go, yeah, I'll do that. And I think that's the journey, right? It's just let me say yes, let me be faithful, let me be obedient, and let's see where God takes us. But it's wild to me to think that we're here.
Yeah.
And you're right, same for you.
100%. I'm constantly amazed when I look back at my life and myself that God would take this young guy who was okay at school, who was good at basketball. I don't know what else I had to offer. And I was okay. But that he would use me and that I would have this privilege to do what I've done, to see what I've seen, to stand here today with the responsibility of, leading World Vision into the next season. And I'm amazed, and I so affirm what you're saying in terms of, isn't it incredible what God can do with your life if you just say yes?
Yep.
Isn't it incredible what God can do with your life if you say a simple prayer like, God, if you open the door, I'll walk through it.
I'll walk through it. Yeah.
And the challenge there is going to be, it's not always the door you think, it's not always the door you want, it's not always the timing you want, but when he opens the door, if you walk through it, he will take you on an adventure and into places you would have never, ever imagined you would go.
Absolutely. And you wake up one day going, oh, well, we're here.
Yeah.
This is crazy. From a small orphanage in Taiwan to now leading the largest NGO in the country, doing the same thing, but on a scale which is so much grander than where you were.
And that's the parable of the talents. That gets back to the point that done in the right way, and this is the real trick, I think, to really discerning God, to listening, to staying humble, and being bold and courageous at the same time, that he will take it step by step. And he does have a plan.
Yes.
And he is faithful. And if you are faithful with little, he'll give you more.
Yeah.
And the challenge is sometimes, well, for me, it's not been some straight road up the mountain.
No.
It's been
It never
windy. There's valleys.
Yep.
There's moments of real frustration.
Yep.
There's moments in the wilderness where
Yep.
I felt like I've missed it.
Yep.
And so it hasn't been some straight climb up the ladder. And God's way of preparing us for these things is not necessarily man or woman's way.
No. And it's most often bookended with trial and challenge and suffering and hardship and wrestle and questioning the call and questioning our own ability in it all. And this is the cool part, I think, and this has come out in a number of our conversations, where we've had to remember always, all we are is stewarding what God has given to us. It's actually not about us at all.
Amen. Amen. I mean, one story I did want to share that we talked about.
I want you to share it too.
Yeah. It's the time for it.
That was my segue, buddy. Like, there it is. I've
setting me up for the story.
I've pitched a little looper, man.
And the problem is I'm playing baseball, you're playing cricket. I'm trying to like swing and there's a wicket and I don't know what's happening.
It's all confusing.
Okay, but that's my ball. Okay. So, I mean, we talked about this story and it resonated for you and I both so deeply.
Yeah.
And it's a story in terms of stewardship. And I think it speaks to, especially as God opens doors for you.
Yes.
And you have these opportunities and suddenly you're on a big platform.
Yeah.
Or suddenly you are the leader.
Yes.
How do you stay humble?
Yeah.
How do you keep that perspective? How do you not get into the trap of suddenly it's about
me? Look how good I am.
So there's a story. So there's this assistant secretary of defense in the U.S. Army, really high level job. And he's, high profile, all the privileges of this role and position, and he's going to speak at this conference. So this assistant secretary of defense, they fly him in business class. They set him up in this nice hotel suite. In the morning, they pick him up and chauffeur him to the venue. They take him back to the green room and they give him this beautiful porcelain cup of coffee. Like you guys gave me a nice cup of coffee this morning. So they give him this beautiful porcelain cup of coffee and he drinks it and he goes and gives his speech.
Yeah.
Big round of applause. Goes well, he flies home. The next year, he's retired. So he finishes up his time, he hangs up his clothes, and he's just a civilian now. But he's done a great job at this talk, and so they invite him back to speak again the next year at this conference as a civilian. So he says, yeah, that'd be great. So next year rolls around, and he flies to the conference economy. He stays in like a Motel 7.
Yeah.
He rents his own car and drives to the venue and he parks and he shows up and he's there early and there's nobody there to greet him and the tradies are all setting things up and there's a big kind of brewing mug of coffee over there, industrial style. And he's like, hey guys, can I grab a coffee? Like, yeah, sure. Just grab a cup. So he grabs this styrofoam cup and he's drinking this coffee. And as he's drinking this styrofoam cup of coffee, it hits him. The beautiful porcelain mug was never for him.
Wow.
It was for the position, it was for the title that he had the honor and the privilege and the responsibility to steward and to hold for a season. And then it was time to give it to somebody else.
Wow.
And
wow.
And every leader, and I want you to unpack it, Steve, because every leader. And we had our international president for World Vision here last week where we announced this and first time he's visited New Zealand. And I told him this story and every leader, he's like, oh my gosh, every leader just hits so deeply.
It does.
Why?
Because it is the revelation and the understanding that all you are is a steward of what God has asked you to do. And this is not about me. It's actually all I am is a vessel. All I am is a vehicle that God is entrusting and using to do that thing for him or do what he's entrusted for me to do. It was never about me. Or I'm fulfilling a purpose, a wonderful purpose that God has for me. But the cup was never about what I brought to the table. The cup was never about my goodness or ability or giftedness or superiority. I sit in a role in a function, but it's not mine. It's his. And one day I will no longer carry this and someone else will carry it. And then who am I? And that's the challenge of a leader too, is to find identity beyond role, beyond title, beyond position. Because I think so many of us would struggle with now drinking out of a styrofoam cup.
So good, Steve. So good. And I think it's like the fundamental crux of the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, the amazing statement, we say it, you know, like the dream we have as Christians that one day we're in heaven and God says, hey, well done. Good and faithful servant. Hey, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The world and as leaders, and you get privileges with the cup and people celebrate you. What it's really about is changing diapers in some orphanage in Taiwan and nobody sees.
Yeah.
And nobody knows.
Yeah.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
But God saying, well done, good and faithful servant. And the challenge, I think, is holding on to that truth.
Yes.
And that humility as God grows us and gives us greater platforms. And it's really hard.
It's hard. And it is hard. And the privileges that might come with position, they're great.
Yeah.
Like, how nice are they? Sometimes you're like, oh, I feel so special. I feel so, again, but when you share that story, they're like, oh, no, I'm not the one that's special.
Yeah.
Like, but by the grace of God go I. That's all it is. And the function I carry and the role that I carry, I'm stewarding a role, and that is a special position. It's a special function. But we have to be able to dissect ourselves from that. Otherwise, our identity becomes tied to that. And then when we no longer have that, we have a massive crisis on our hands where we go, well, who am I? Where do I fit? But because I was this thing and now I'm no longer this thing. And does everyone know?
And that's the challenge. We see so many, I love that you're doing this podcast. I hope as people share these stories and you connect with great people, it gives an insight and a window beyond a leadership book or beyond, some great quote of like what it looks like.
Yeah.
What does it mean for me? How do you do it? Because I think, that challenge, when I describe the journey God's taken me on of feeling ready, feeling like I'm ready for the next thing, I've got the capacity.
Yeah.
And what God's done every time is slowed me down, is held me back, and has said, TJ, I need you to do work on you.
Yeah.
I need you to work on the stuff in here that is vulnerable, that needs humility, that is broken, that you need me to come in and fix.
Yes.
And then I'll give you the opportunity to step up.
And for you on your journey, let's not pry too deeply, because you can go see Mike Griffiths later for the counseling session.
Right.
But like in terms of the slowdown and what God was like, TJ, we're fixing this. We're going deeper.
Yeah.
We're going to fix this part. We're going to redeem this part. We're going to restore this part. We're actually going to get rid of some of that. What was some of those things that God was like, we're dealing with this now? Because the reality is, if you take that into a higher level of leadership or of significance or governance or whatever it might be, that's only going to be destructive.
Yeah. It's if we got time for one more story.
Just share away, buddy. We got all the time in the world.
To give you a window and to give folks a window into what this looks like, and how did I get here, and what has to happen back there to hopefully step into it in the right way. I'll give you a glimpse. We're living in Zimbabwe, my family and I. And it was a dream of mine to do this work in the field, to take my family, to be on the front lines of what World Vision was doing, and felt a calling from God. And this door opens up, and you step out in faith, and you put it all on the line, and you expect that God will then just make it work.
Yeah.
And one of the most difficult things is then when it doesn't. And I'm literally like, there's been a car crash. my family's been picked up by this wonderful white Zimbo family, and they're staying in Victoria Falls somewhere. I'm with the police taking to report this crash. Everybody's safe, but it is harrowing. The secret police of Zimbabwe take me, and they take me to a prison on the border with Zambia. And they're looking at my passport, and they're looking at all these visa ins and outs because Mugabe's still the president, and they don't want foreigners in the country, and they won't give us a visa. And they're saying, we're going to kick you out, and we're going to deport you. And I have no way to reach my family. I have no way to communicate with them. Like, this is a disaster. And in that moment, in total brokenness, somehow God shows up, and these guys who should not give me grace, who do not want me there, who have no empathy for me whatsoever, I said, guys, I just got to humble myself here and explain why I'm here, explain the work that I do, explain the grace God's given me, and say, guys, you got to give me grace here. And somehow God stirs in these hard-hearted guys, and they let me go, and they send me back. But what happens then 3 months later is this dream feels lost because we have to go back to Canada. We have to leave after a year of doing this. And I thought this was my career runway. We're taking off. It's going to lead from this to this to this. And we go back to Canada, and I felt so defeated.
Right.
I felt, God, what happened? I felt I put it all on the line, and you didn't come through. And we're all going to have those moments where things don't work out. I think what happened then in the subsequent years for me was I did Aero Leadership in Canada. I had to work on some sin issues in my life. I had to work on myself and who I was. What's TJ? What's a role? I had to go real deep. I had to really look hard in the mirror and go to counseling and do some deep inner work. And the amazing thing, Steve, it was 2 or 3 years of that.
Wow.
In Canada, I'm still growing. I'm still giving my best. I'm still faithful to God in the midst of this in terms of seeking out prayer and support. But this was the hard lesson, was that, the seed that was germinating under the ground of my leadership and what God was doing the work right there inside under the ground in that time for years.
Wow.
And the hard thing with that work, I really think, is that it doesn't bear fruit immediately.
No, it doesn't.
People don't see it.
No.
It doesn't show up. Like, you're not getting any applause. Nobody's like, oh, good on you to go to that meeting. Good on you to go see the counselor. These kind of things. But what I can see now when I look back, and what happened is 3 years later, God's opening up an opportunity to go again. God's opening up an opportunity to step out again. And Heather, my wife, my lovely wife, Heather, who is like, said, okay, the boys are not high school age yet. We'll do one more overseas thing. So I'm thinking, I'll link a few things together here. I'm thinking, okay, field again, right? So these jobs in Mozambique, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, all these amazing opportunities. Doesn't happen. For some reason, Heather's not sure about that. Fair enough. And it gets to this point where I'm wanting the door to open, but I'm shoving it. I'm trying to open the door. And I needed to step back. I needed to pause. I feel ready. God's done this work, but I needed to submit myself and let him open the door. And this amazing thing happens. This job opens up in New Zealand.
Wow.
That I hadn't been looking for. It hadn't been on my mind. I kind of let it go, and it comes back around. And I say to Heather, what about New Zealand? And no offense to those other amazing places. She's like, you want to go here or here, here? If you get a job in New Zealand, we'll go to New Zealand.
That's amazing.
And God opens this door, like it's just happened now with this opportunity to lead World Vision here. And it of course, there's a proper process. Of course, there's due rigor. But I am ready. Because God's made me ready. I'm ready because God's done the work in me, and he opens the door.
Amazing.
Here's the amazing thing, Steve, to link it all together. When I was in Taiwan all those years ago, after that time with the orphanage, you don't know this part, I'd read this book called What Color Is Your Parachute? It's the best-selling job-finding book in the world. But it's not about finding a job, it's finding your calling. And you put these, like, your skills, where you want to live, all these things. And I'm naive, 20 years old, and I put this geography, I put Vancouver, Canada, it's an awesome place, Victoria, Canada, 20 years old. New Zealand.
No way.
New Zealand. I had forgotten I'd put New Zealand. I don't know where it came from. 20 years later, this all happens and we get this job to New Zealand. And I don't know how. I'm looking back at my job flower thing I found from like 20 years before.
No way.
This is a newer one. And I look and it says New Zealand. And that God would somehow, talk about a winding road,
Wow.
work his purposes, weave his ways over the decades.
Yes.
To lead to this place at this time with this
Yeah.
opportunity. And you know where we live, and
Yep.
to connect with folks like you and a church like Elim,
Yeah.
to live in Maraetai, to have this privilege.
It's unreal.
It's unreal. It's an adventure that
Yeah.
there's no way
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could have written the script, and it has not been easy,
Yep.
but God's been faithful.
Yes.
And I've said yes, and I've learned, and I've fallen, and I've gotten back up.
Yeah.
And he's worked on me, and I've grown, and I've listened, and I've discerned, and I've made mistakes, and I've fallen back, but I've tried to be faithful too.
So good.
And God has done amazing things.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And I always say to people, whatever you think the best plan you could come up with for your life, God will exceed that, but it will not look like what you thought. But then when you get there, like I think about where we are. If I was going back to 17-year-old Steve before I knew Jesus, and the plan I would have created for my life, and then where I am now, I'm like, oh, thank God that he intervened. And thank God that not because and I know you very well, so not because either of us are some kind of hyper spiritual, awesome people, but just in the ability to go, okay, God, whatever, I will die to me, I'll submit all of that, and I'm just going to say yes to what you would have for me and trust you that you're going to outwork what you want to outwork. Now I'm like, oh, thank you, God, that I've said yes to your plan, because it far exceeds anything that I would have imagined for myself, right?
And I think I don't know how this works, but I think back to your story, your sharing of the Spirit flooding in, or my story I shared, which I wasn't planning to share, of God's Spirit hitting me in the car drive home at 18 years old. And there's a crazy thing where in these moments, maybe because he wants to inspire us or instill us, He overpowers us with this amazing glimpse of what life could be like if we fully submit to him.
Yeah.
And as like a newborn baby in him, he just like blows our minds.
Yeah.
And then I think the hard, amazing thing is that to live a life like that and to follow that for your life is harder, is painful, is a constant saying yes and a saying, yes, I will die to these things.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's the narrow road.
It's the narrow road.
Wide is the path and easy is it, and many that find that lead to destruction.
Narrow
the
road
is the way
that leads to life, and very few find it.
Yeah.
And I think the amazing thing, Steve, and I know you well enough to know too, that whether you are called to lead a church or an organization, whether you're, love, serving coffee at a cafe, whether, you love being a mom or a dad, whether you're a tradie or you have a business, whatever it is, it's not about the cup.
Amen.
It's about the cup God's given you.
Yes.
And then doing that work and bringing that into that and filling that up.
Yeah.
Because God wants to work through all of us. Everyone. And he needs to.
Yes.
He needs to. This is the thing, like when I think about, I'll tell you one World Vision story.
Yeah.
One World Vision story. So, just a miracle God provided. So Afghanistan, one of the most difficult, challenging places on work, the Taliban, what's happened to women there. World Vision's worked there for decades. And one of the amazing things about World Vision, if I can speak for us, is that we are in some of the most difficult, hardest places, a place like Afghanistan, where it's almost impossible for anybody else to go. And so we've continued to work there, but then with funding cuts from USAID, with global cuts to funding, all of the important funding for important life-saving work is like dried up. And so there's these clinics, these health clinics in Western Afghanistan that were going to close.
Wow.
And these 6 clinics that we'd been helping with, reaching 40,000 women and children with life-saving healthcare, are going to shut. And so we prayed about it. we looked internally. Our finance director, who's a great Christian lady, but not an overly spiritual person,
Right.
felt convicted. We pulled from some of our reserves. We reached out to some of our donors. We did some of these things where God showed up, and we were able to keep these clinics open till the end of December.
Wow.
It's amazing, an amazing response. But it's still like one of those freeways that's been built, and then it just falls off a cliff.
End, yeah.
So there's nothing. So the miracle, though, is a lot of people who had their jobs cut in the U.S. They'd reached out. They started like a GoFundMe page or something, and they'd reached out to World Vision U.S. staff to notify around some of these programs. Nobody's expecting anything, but they put this stuff forward. Anyway, this anonymous donor from Chicago, they're calling it the Oprah Winfrey Fund. They don't know who it was, but this anonymous donor from Chicago finds this thing and donates $10 million.
Wow.
And so now these clinics can stay open. These kids can get helped.
Wow.
These women and children can receive the life-saving care that they deserve. And why I'm telling you that story is, in a grand scope of things, with billions of dollars cut of global funding, with huge challenges in Afghanistan, we could have been overwhelmed. We could have felt like there's nothing we can do.
Yep.
And yet, we did what we could do. We did what God had called us to do in that moment with these 6 clinics.
Yep.
And then God is faithful, and some amazing, generous donor in the U.S. comes in the back. The point of it is, of course, I believe, Steve, in my deepest heart and soul, God loves that little girl or little boy in Afghanistan more than any one of us ever could.
Yes.
He has a heart for them, has a heart for any kid here.
Yes.
More than, because it's the least of these.
Yes.
And he needs us to play the role he's called us to play, to do his work in those places.
Yes.
And then he's got that same calling for everybody.
Everyone. Yeah.
And there's people that only you can reach. There's people that only you can serve. There's people that as you grow in your leadership, that he's going to have you touch.
Yeah.
He's going to uniquely use you.
Yes.
Only if you kind of take that journey.
Totally. That's powerful, man. That's incredible. And I think that is such a great learning for everyone to realize. God wants to use you to change this world, one person at a time, one little thing at a time. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. Like, there is a call of God upon every single life. And it's taking what God has given to you, being faithful with it, using it, developing it, growing it, investing it, showing up, and then trusting the hand of God to do what only God can do. Like, you're not God. You know what I mean? World Vision isn't God. And just for disclaimer, we've got no vested interest in World Vision, because even as a church, we're your home church, but we don't partner with World Vision in any material way. Like, we love you guys, we support you, we believe in what you do, but we have our own sort of missions projects and work that we're doing independent of you guys. But it's amazing that revelation that, you work in a gas station, but you're a minister of the gospel in that place. You pack groceries at the supermarket. Yeah, but as a follower of Jesus, you're a minister of the gospel. And there's those God windows and God moments in every day and everything. And it's the awareness to go, all right, God, what do you want to do with me today? Yeah. How do you want to use me today? And to take what you have and do it for the least of these, for the people that God brings to you. That's a life of significance and purpose.
And who could have imagined, Steve, because I think that's just a great word to encourage folks with. Who could have imagined that he could use a couple of teenage idiots to do what you do and be blessed with the privilege of leading this church and leading Elim here and across these campuses, and the number of people saved every week, the influence. When I was changing the diapers of those babies at that orphanage, I would have never imagined God could use me to play the role he's called me to play, to help bring healthcare to tens of thousands of women and children in Afghanistan. And I think the beautiful point that wraps it all together, that's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
And it's about saying yes.
Yep.
It's about humbly serving.
Yeah.
and letting God do amazing things.
Totally. So talk to me about your role now. Like, what does it look? Because the one thing I love about you, which is different from me, is you are probably a little bit more driven, disciplined, habit stacking. You know, I'm like, hey man, I'm just chill. Let's just roll with it and enjoy and just be quite intuitive with what's happening.
Yeah.
But you're kind of that, you know, every time I get to you, they're like, oh, I've got this great book. I've read this great book. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really read a book in like the last 2 years. I'm more of a podcaster. I listen to lots of podcasts and develop and grow and think in those kinds of ways. But you're very disciplined at taking and developing what God has put in you. Talk to me about that side of it.
Yeah, and you're not doing yourself justice, Steve, but that's great.
Yeah.
Humble of you. I mean, it's I learned so much from you, and I do believe, I mean, God wires leaders differently, and he does, he shapes us, you know, uniquely. And yeah, he shaped me and to be a very disciplined, intentional person.
Yes.
So if I had a secret to what God's done in my life, it's a few things. And I could paint a simple picture of it.
Yeah.
And there's many layers to it, right? So we've talked about this before. I've shared it. You've had me to share with your team.
Yeah.
I call it the triangle of influence. These three invisible forces that shape and influence our life, our trajectory, our leadership, where we're going to go. And as I explain them in a second, everybody's going to know what they are, but they're largely invisible to us.
Yes.
And when we're intentional about them, when we take hold of them, amazing things happen. And I'll just connect them with everything we're talking about. So the first one is your mindset.
Yeah.
The power of your mindset, a growth mindset, a learning mindset. One of my mantras, one of my vision statements, which I say to myself every morning, it's quite long, but one of the aspects is I choose an attitude that finds learning, growth, and possibility in every situation.
So good.
I've already decided, I've pre-decided when stuff happens, when things don't go my way, how I'm going to respond.
Great.
So that is a locked-in growth mindset that I bring to all sorts of things.
Yep.
And I've seen that, you know, come to life from a refugee in Somalia who you think would be so defeated, helpless, has nothing, but compared to another one, is not given up, has resilience, and makes a way where there's no way because of the power of her mindset.
Yeah.
The second one is relationships. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's scary.
That is very scary.
Yeah.
And we think of you have teenagers.
Yep.
So do I. Think about how locked in you want to be with who their friends are.
That's right.
Who they're hanging out with. Because you know they're going to drop or rise to the lowest common denominator there. And so I think we sometimes just miss that the reason you and I value so much having a cold plunge, having a coffee, aside from having a fun chat and being at the same stages, that's intentional.
It is. Yeah.
It's helping you be a better leader.
Totally.
It's helping me be a better leader.
Yeah.
It's helping do all the things we're talking about. And we need to. That doesn't just happen by chance.
No.
It wouldn't just stumble upon it.
You've got a big schedule. I've got a big schedule. Like we're constantly trying to align calendars to make it happen, but you have to make it happen.
You have to make it happen.
It doesn't just kind of magically appear.
And where you are in your life and your leadership journey, it could be a mentor. It could be reaching out to other people. And then the last part of the triangle is my favorite, daily habits. I know you're a big habits fan too. There's great books out there, The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits. The nutshell of that one is research would say 30 to 40% of everything we do is habit and routine. It's autopilot. We're not thinking about it. Now, if we looked at that in your life and my life, there'd be some good, some neutral, some not so good serving us. If you can leverage the power of habits to be intentional, the amazing power of that is it doesn't take willpower.
It's already there.
It's there. The habit is the difference between a New Year's resolution and something that's going to stick.
Yeah.
So I'll give you one habit that's an example that I've built in that's been so powerful and has helped to change my leadership in life. And I will say, as I step into this season in this role and try and do all the things we're talking about, there's lots of growth, there's lots of learning. One of the things that I've kind of been convicted of, Steve, is all of these disciplines, all of these habits, all of these things, I see now now's when they're going to bear fruit.
Right.
Now's when they're going to pay. So one of my habits, morning habit, I journal, I do the daily Bible app, all these things. But I had this habit, God convicted me a couple years ago, to think of somebody and say a prayer for them each day, to just think about them and say a prayer. And so I send out a prayer message every day to someone.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how powerful that's been in my life. And sometimes it's this atheist person. Sometimes it's this person that I just met. Sometimes it's a friend I haven't talked to in years.
Yeah.
In, a couple years and 1,000 of these messages, the amazing thing to me, I have not had one person, not one, say, don't send me this message.
Wow.
I sometimes get responses. But the number of people were as like, oh my gosh, this one lady, I won't mention names, but she's not a Christian, but a high-level leader, and I met her, and she's on my mind. I sent her this prayer, and she wrote back. She's like, I'm in the airport, and you just do not know.
Wow.
She's like, it's as if God was talking to me.
Wow.
And I'm smiling because
maybe it is.
Maybe he was.
Yeah.
And so I think about how to step into this next season, and in some ways, Steve, with all those disciplines and learning, and frankly, our conversations, they become more important to me now.
They do.
Than ever.
They do.
But if it goes back to that, if I had done it too soon, if I had done it before its time, and I didn't have that groundwork in place, now's when it gets stretched because it's so busy.
Yeah,
Arrows are going to come. People are going to, the devil's got a plan. Like, especially as you go up, the devil doesn't want you to succeed.
That's exactly right.
People are human. We're human.
Yeah.
So it's not like all of a sudden you've arrived.
No.
It's you need to double down.
Yeah, wow.
On that inner stuff.
Yeah.
On those things.
Because the temptation is that becomes less important than the work. Right? So you go, I've got the work to do, though. I've got the schedule. That's the important stuff. It's like, well, if you want to be the best you at doing that, then this has got to stay. This is the scaffold. This is the framework that's going to hold you up in those moments. And I think if I reflect on my own leadership journey, it's been in the times of greatest pressure and greatest responsibility that those sorts of things begin to slide. The key values of your life, those habits, the discipline of showing up to church. That's what I love about you and your family. You're in church every week. Every when you're in the country, you are here every single week. And it's like a real grounding discipline community for you.
One thing, if I'd recommend a book, we talk about books and things.
A book,
if I'd recommend a book to whoever's listening to this, and because it's not as well known as some, it's this book called God in My Everything. God in My Everything. This is by a guy named Ken Shigematsu. But he what he talks about, and just goes back to all this stuff, is creating a life rule.
Right.
And a life rule, it sounds like, if you're not wired that way, it sounds, get out of here. But he uses the analogy of wine or vines growing.
Yes.
And it's the trellis that the vines will grow on.
Yes.
And so it's not constraining, it's freeing.
Yeah.
It's like, what makes the best Steve?
Yeah.
And so that book's a great one you could sink your teeth into it. It's an easy read, and you create your own life rule. And I was just going to say on all that stuff, I mean, both you and I like exercise talk and things, and you're a CrossFit guy, and I haven't quite made the CrossFit gym, but I get into my own stuff.
Yeah, the triathlon guy. So
I used to be, but yeah. And so, we've talked about it. Like I noticed for me, one barometer, if I'm falling off on my workout routine, if I'm falling off on just those things that keep me balanced and healthy, it's just this kind of little warning light on the car that things are getting out of whack.
Yeah.
And why that's important is, like, you miss a workout or two, who cares? But that slope goes sliding pretty far.
Real quick,
And you got to watch those things.
Yeah, it's that daily time with God, in the Word, those prayer moments, that being in church, working out, all those little things. That's what builds a healthy you to do what God has asked of you to do. And you're like, now you're stepping into a significant role. It's, how many staff?
100 staff.
100 staff with World Vision New Zealand. You're working in how many nations?
Yeah, so World Vision globally works in 101.
Yeah.
And World Vision New Zealand, we support about 35.
35 different nations, working with the poorest of the poor, doing community programs, water programs, education,
humanitarian relief, disaster.
Yeah. So you're working at a level which is quite phenomenal, and with a lot at stake. Really, you're working with, and you're donor based. Everything you do is, it's not like you're not selling a product. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's and not unlike a church, Steve.
Yeah.
If a window there, it's complex.
Yeah.
And people look at the world differently. And you love the whānau, the family of God, and a family, like not everybody agrees.
Yeah, that's right.
And so as a leader, it's hard.
Yeah.
And how do you, I think all, in a way, as from a leadership perspective, I think all of those things, that grounding and that foundation of God is necessary so that you can listen, you can be humble, you can discern, but then ultimately, in a role that God's anointed you to hold, you've got to listen to him.
Yep.
And how do you hear that voice if you're not taking that time?
Yeah. Because the noise will take over.
It will.
Every other voice, every other demand is going to take over. TJ, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate, the relationship that we have, and you speak into my life. I'm so proud of you, man. You've put the hard work in. I know the journey, and I know the hard work you put in. You got a wonderful family. You got your beautiful wife Heather, and you got your two boys.
Yeah, Everest, Isaiah.
Yeah. They're great kids. They're growing, man. Everest is what, 17?
17 and 15.
17 and 15, both into their basketball.
Yeah.
You got a busy life. You're a great dad. And we're just grateful to have you in our church. And we're grateful to have you now sitting in this role with World Vision and serving the purpose of God. So thank you so much, man, for being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. And we're definitely going to have you back because there's a whole bunch more we want to unpack. But hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you, found this helpful and encouraging and inspiring. And TJ, if anyone wants to reach out to you or find you, where can they find you? Like, obviously, go to the World Vision New Zealand page, but you're on Instagram and
LinkedIn and those kind of places. And such a blessing, Steve. I mean, thank you so much for your friendship and your leadership. And we love Elim. What a special church. And I just so encourage folks to listen to this, to take their journeys. And if anybody wants to learn more about World Vision, just come chat with me on a Sunday. I'd love to connect.
Great, bro. Awesome. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Blessings, Steve.